My name is Isenborg Sultan, and I work in Södertälje Municipality with implementation of the Diet for a Green Planet concept and finding new sustainable food products that fits within the concept. Södertälje Municipality has worked according to the Diet for a Green Planet concept for more than 10 years now. We've learned a lot along the way, both what works for us and what doesn't. Today, I'll try to summarize a little bit of our learnings during these years and come with a few practical tips to others about how to practically implement Diet for a Green Planet. During the years we worked with Diet for a Green Planet in Södertälje, we've been very successful with some of the criteria, while others have been more challenging. The first criterion, tasty and healthy food, is actually one of our biggest challenges. To cook healthy and sustainable food is not a problem, but to cook healthy and sustainable food that our school pupils appreciate is a bit of a challenge. The second criterion, to purchase organic food, is one that we have come a long way with. At the moment, the amount of organic products we buy is over 60%. We've also done a great job decreasing the amount of meat we serve. We have achieved this by both offering vegetarian alternatives to a higher extent, but also by replacing some of the meat in our meat dishes with more vegetables and legumes. Locally produced in season is the other criterion that have been a little bit of a challenge for us. Partly, this is because it's hard for us to find locally produced products in big enough volumes for a municipality like Södertälje that serve thousands of meals each day. Also, it has turned out to be hard for the kitchen personnel to know what's in season when. When it comes to reducing food waste, on the other hand, we've been very successful, and today we have a low amount of waste in our kitchens. So how have we handled these challenges I've mentioned? If we start with what we do to make pupils appreciate sustainable and healthy food, we've learned that the most important measure is to build relationships with the students. If you have a relationship with the person cooking your food, it will taste better. One way to do this is having the chef's presence in the restaurants when the pupils eat their lunch. In that way, they can explain what they've cooked and why we serve the food we do. We always make sure to have a student council where the students can give their feedback on the meals. But the most efficient way to build a relationship is to invite the pupils into the kitchen. By doing so, the understanding of where the food comes from increases, and you also get a relationship with the person behind the pots. For the same reason, it's also important to cook the food as close to the guests as possible. Otherwise, the food easily becomes anonymous. Cooking the food close to the guests also is important to minimize food waste and maintain a good nutritional and sensory quality. To hire experienced kitchen personnel is also important for many reasons. An experienced chef has the knowledge how to plan a menu and set up an efficient logistic in the kitchen. A person that's skilled and confident in their profession also easier can face the pupils in a good way and explain why we cook the food we cook and how food and sustainability correlates. Then, it's also of course important to keep on educate the personnel we already hired so they can maintain new knowledge about food and sustainability and communicate this knowledge in a good way to pupils, teachers and parents. When it comes to procurement of local producers, we have a few deals with suppliers that give us fantastic vegetables and game meat, but this is during a short period of the season and constitutes a pretty small part of our total purchases. Therefore, in practice, buying locally produced has for us become to focus more on what can be produced in Sweden. I'll give some practical examples later in the presentation. At last, I want to mention the seasonal pyramids tool that we have developed to help the kitchens better understand what's in season when. In the pyramids, we range foods depending on what you can eat a lot of, what you can eat sometimes, and what you should eat seldom, depending on the season. And this is what our seasonal pyramids look like. The key to have Diet for a Green Planet to work in practice is to have a holistic approach to the meal. Organic and locally produced products might cost a little bit more, but the cost can be compensated if you take the following measures. If you reduce food waste, you can save a lot of money, since waste is very costly if you calculate the cost of buying, prepare, serve, and then throw away food. If you also use less meat and fish, which is expensive to purchase, and instead use more whole grain and vegetables, that both has a lower cost but also contributes with important nutrients and makes you feel full and satisfied for longer due to the higher fiber content. You can also save a little bit money if you purchase food according to season, when the prices generally are lower. Another way to cut a little bit on the expenses is not to use as much manufactured products, since these products often are quite expensive and it's also hard to reuse in a good way. Finally, I want to give you 3 examples of how we have worked in Södertälje with converting products according to Diet for a Green Planet. The first example is our work with substitute part of the rice we serve in favor for Swedish whole grain cereals. We do this because the climate impact from rice is considerably higher than from other cereals, since rice cultivation emits methane. Rice is also imported from long distances, and the type we eat is often polished. Swedish whole grain, on the other hand, are rich in nutrients and fibers. They make you feel full for longer and is also more affordable. Cereals also has a neutral taste that is easy for children to accept. In Södertälje, we almost doubled the purchases of Swedish whole grain cereals since 2016, and at the same time decreased the amount of rice with 1/3. When we started working with Diet for a Green Planet in Södertälje, we also started serving more legumes in the schools. This is because this is the smartest way to protein shift, since legumes are rich in plant-based protein that together with cereals becomes complete. On the same time, you also get important fibers and nutrients. Eating legumes is nothing new in Sweden. Different kinds of peas was earlier our most important protein source. Then the peas have been forgotten for a while, but today legumes are popular again and we are recommended to increase the consumption, both for its health benefits and also because it's an effective way to produce protein. In Södertälje, we first started to experiment with cooking dishes that are popular in the schools of Södertälje, like hummus and falafel with yellow Swedish peas. It turned out very well, and since then the range of Swedish legumes have increased a lot, and now we have both Swedish grey peas, fava beans and lentils in different colors in our restaurants. The last practical example I want to give is our work with converting some of the chicken we serve with organic hen meat. Hen meat is tasty, healthy and sustainable. In modern egg production, the hens are slaughtered when they are only 1 year and a couple of months old. Then they become animal feed or are burned. Instead, the chicken consumption in Sweden has increased with over 400% since the 1980s. Breeding is intensive, and the chickens are fed with crops that humans can eat directly. In Södertälje, we think it's unnecessary to waste good food like hen meat, and therefore we had a goal to substitute some of the chicken we buy with hen meat. Since 2016, we actually doubled our purchases of hen, and at the same time we decreased our purchases of chicken. This was some examples of how we have worked with implementing Diet for a Green Planet in Södertälje. Thank you so much for your attention.